and stabbed John 37 times. According to evidence, he woke up during the attack but could not fight her off. He succumbed to his wounds, and Knight dragged his body downstairs, skinned him, and hung his body from a meat hook in the living room. Then she decapitated him and cut up pieces of his body to cook in a dish with potato, pumpkin, beets, zucchini, cabbage, squash, and gravy. She then made herself a dish, though the half-discarded contents were later found at the crime scene, which suggests she couldn't finish her meal. She then lay down next to the headless, mutilated corpse of Price, took a large number of pills, and passed out. Price's co-workers heeded his warning the next morning and called the police after he didn't show up for his shift. The police arrived to find Katherine Knight's gruesome crime scene and immediately detained the comatose Katherine Knight. Once she woke up, she claimed to have no memory of the night before. In the kitchen, police found Price's head boiling in a pot of vegetables on the stove. On the table, they found 2 full plates, each labeled with a name. In horror, the police realized that Knight had planned to serve John Price's body parts to his children. Despite her claims that she had no recollection of the night, Katherine Knight was quickly charged with his murder. In October of 2001, her trial commenced, but it didn't get very far. For reasons that remain unclear, Katherine changed her plea to guilty, and the judge adjourned the case without testimony. She was escorted to prison that day, and the judge ordered that her papers be marked never to be released. For the first time in history, a woman in Australia was given a life sentence without parole. To this day, Katherine nevertheless maintains her innocence and refuses to accept responsibility for her actions. Katherine Knight has appealed her sentence before and was denied almost immediately. She is still serving her life sentence at Silverwater Women's Correctional Center. Alright, that is today's case. This got a little brutal. I apologize for that. But John Charles Thomas Price, this is so incredibly sad. A lot of these people were paying for what Katherine Knight went through as a child. It's very abundantly clear that her experiences with her father really just messed her up to the point where she had this anger and violence towards men. And house. I think that's why these cases are so important, because these aren't just, like, I feel like we have become so desensitized to things that are possibilities. This could happen to you or I, and it's important to keep these conversations so that we can see these patterns and maybe prevent these things from happening, get people help, just keep the conversation going. And I feel terrible for all these kids. Now, you had almost 5 children, and now they're without a mother, which arguably that's a good thing. But John Charles Thomas Price's children. My heart aches for them. And I hope that no one allowed them to go into that house for her to do what she did. I can't even imagine what that looked like. I don't want to see it. I just hope to God that those children were treated with grace and respect and love. Because what could have happened? This woman is a menace to society, to say the least. And I think when John put up these boundaries, that's not something Katherine was used to. She was used to being enabled, let back in, let her do the same terrible behavior. And I do think that if these other men were as diligent to make boundaries like John did, I don't think that this would have been her only. Well, she was very sloppy, so maybe it would have prevented this from happening. But these people be? I feel very strongly about this channel. I have worked very hard to build it and do these videos weekly. I have fallen off before, but nonetheless, I've worked really hard on these videos, and I know my intentions, and I know that I have no intentions of victim exploitation. I think when these people make these comments, it is for attention. Although I think they have good intention. That's debatable, but I am a small channel. I am honestly so thankful and shocked at the following and community that we have created on this channel. And it's growing, and I love every single one of you and appreciate you and your support. But just